So I'm going to get started. Sounds good. Looks good. Welcome to my house. You don't see it because you're seeing our presentation here. Cool. All right. I'm going to just once in a while glance over at the chat, but Cammie's here to help us. Thank you, Cammie. Our interpreters are here. Thank you very much, the interpreters that are here. And the first thing we'd like to do is something in tech demos we often do, which is we'd like to take a moment to pay homage to the demo gods. Because when you're doing demos, anything can happen. And we're just knowing that today, everything works perfectly. And if it doesn't, I would invite you all just to laugh along with us because, anytime you do something that's technical, I mean, you've all felt this in the classroom, right? Anything can happen. So we definitely had some challenges around just Zoom, trying to do some stuff like we're doing here, a little more, hopefully, I don't know, something different, right? Not the traditional boxes that you might see. Tutor me, Karen says. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I know for me, AI and everything related is a fire hose that I cannot totally consume right now. And as a society, we are really trying to figure out how this is going to land in our world. It's already changing so much of what I do. Okay, I teach technology, I teach coding. Students are naturally going to want to go ask ChatGPT for an answer. Okay, so what we're excited about today is, and matter of fact, before I do this, I'd like Rick to introduce himself. Rick, you want to switch over and introduce yourself and say a few words before I actually jump into the product?
Sure. Yeah, 1 second. I'm getting in there. Hopefully everything works as we tried before.
I don't see, yeah, I don't see your
Um,
overlay, but
I'm getting there. Let me see.
okay, cool.
Oh, can you see me?
Not yet.
Okay. How about now?
No. Oh, there
Okay.
you are. There you are.
Okay.
Cool. So
So
notice how Rick's overlay looks a little different.
yes, a little different. Yeah, like we played around with different kinds of scenery and what works for us. But I'm Rick. And I'm a software engineer and also a part-time instructor now. Yeah, Rio, I was in San Francisco working on some AI stuff, and Rio was like, "Hey, you want to help me on some stuff?" And I was like, "Yes, let's do that." So here I am. If you have any questions, as I mentioned, like when you mentioned, somebody mentioned in the chat, what is generative AI? I went ahead and used one of my favorite generative AI tools, Perplexity, to answer some of those questions. So I added a couple other questions. I'll be adding that to the chat, but I'll leave it back to Rio. And yeah, all right, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and talking about everything we're doing.
Sweet. Cool. Are we back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I also want to have the chat up. So hold on, because that's important to me for what I'm about to do. All right. So in the world today, the amount of products that's hitting the market around leveraging AI, generative AI, and other types of LLMs is just amazing. So Rick and I couldn't be more excited today to present to you a product that is really focused on how in education we can start to leverage this. And this is a startup. This startup has recently been valued at about 60 million bucks.
Actually, it went up to 65.
Oh, it went up to
Oh,
65. Okay.
there's
All
just
right.
so you know. Yeah.
So this product leverages this new tool that we have. Okay, I can't do it anymore. Anybody believe me that this is an actual product and that it's worth $65 million? Anybody in the chat? Do you believe me?
I think someone's perplexed.
Are you perplexed? To use perplexity. Oh, so true. Yeah, I'm perplexed. Yeah. So I thought I'd start with the fact that, put AI on anything these days and, and do an evaluation and try to sell your company. Here's the cool thing about what we're going to show you today. This is a homegrown product. This has been created by Rick and I through the process of the AI, of the ZTC grant, right? So zero textbook cost. So this product is really, and it is working right now. It is being active. It is used. I use it. Rick's used it. Nancy Holland has used it. Dee and Joellen from our data analytics team has used it. So it is in use right now. And we will talk to you today about using it, the use cases that we have around it. And we're really going to spend the bulk of our time there. Okay. But we just wanted to start with a little funny because it's true, right? We see AI listed on everything now. I mean, really, my refrigerator already could go to the internet. Now it has AI, right? I mean, there's just everything in the world is now getting slapped with this, which people still don't quite understand, how to, it's just a new fancy thing, but it's also impacting so many things that I think we're not quite talking about. Is it created with PlayLab? It's not. As I said before, this has been created with a grant by Rick and I. And so just keep that in mind as you see this product. I don't want to say that to almost diminish what you're about to see in any way, because this is a usable product. Now, will it work for all of you? Possibly not. Maybe not. Is it ready for 100 faculty to start using it? Absolutely not. But we hope by you seeing it, you can help us promote this to the campuses, saying this is something I would like to look into. And we're going to end this today with a call to action. Rick, anything you would add before I move on?
Yeah, I know we mentioned Karen mentioned PlayLab. We've been
Yeah.
trying to get access to that. From what I saw, like some of the features are kind of similar to ours, but we have a different. But there's a difference between like what PlayLab's doing and what we're trying to accomplish. But we definitely want to see like all the tools and everything that they use. I think we're supposed to be on the next cohort or something like that. But if anyone has any resources on PlayLab or anything they want to share, definitely share it in the chat.
So what I'm going to share in the chat right now is actually what you're seeing right now. Okay. Oh, Rick, would you share the AI chat? Hey, for some reason my keyboard is not being happy. Okay.
Do you want me to send one of the chat
No,
platforms?
yeah, no, just no. Send the website.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Like
no, it's all right. Okay,
AI
so what
Guided?
we're going to give you in the in here, actually, what we're going to give you is actually the presentation that you're going to see right here today. So that if you have questions or you want to help us advocate for, this is so funny. My chat's having a hard time. So anyway, we'd like to share that with you first. Okay. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rhea Waller. I'm a full-time faculty here at Fresno City College. I teach in the computer information technology areas. I specialize in web development. So that's what I do. Okay. Here's the link. Good. Thanks, Rick. Okay. So how was it created? Okay. So about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and can you see everything okay? Let me move to the opposite side. How about that? How's that? Right? We made her better. Okay, cool.
All
And
good.
again, this is why I had Rick give you um the URL so you could actually go in and do it yourself, and you can look at this if for some reason this doesn't come through. So AI chat is an application that integrates with Canvas. Okay. And it was, like I said, it was dedicated. We are dedicated teachers and software developers, and we are part of the ZTC. So think about ZTC for a second. Okay. What is ZTC? Zero textbook cost. Well, think about LLMs, right? LLMs, large language models, have so much of our, I mean, large language models. So if you think about ways we could leverage large language models to then make ZTC even better, right? That's the goal of this product. That's the goal of what we've created. So we started a year ago. When I first got asked to join the grant, I had already been seeing and thinking of ways I could implement this into my classroom. And specifically, this ZTC grant was targeted for us for the web developer program to help us move all of our content to ZTC. The good news is we've been successful with that now. And now what's happened is that Rick and I have now coming out of at least a part of the grant, now have a product that we are promoting to have more people consider how they might use something like this in their classroom. Okay. So what we did, how we started, and just brief history here, is we went through and we looked at a year ago what was available out there, right? PlayLab, I don't think was there yet. We looked at UAI. We looked at several things to say, how could we utilize it? Because for me, what I was inspired by Khan Academy. Khan Academy had a built-in tutor to its platform that would help students on a specific problem. And then I was also inspired by CS50 out of Harvard, who David Malin there has created an amazing, what they call the AI duck, so that when students are working on something and they need some specific help, they can use the duck to get that. Okay. So what we were finding, and these, of course, these projects, Khan Academy and Harvard CS50, these have huge teams, right? These are, probably 50 to 100 larger teams, and OpenAI was actually working directly with Khan Academy. So I knew that that product that they had created, we would have to figure out our own implementation of that. So that's what you're going to see today, and that's what we landed to. What really kind of was a turning point for us, and you'll see it today in one of the assignments, was inspired by Richard Feynman. If you don't know who that is, Google him. He's awesome. But what we basically ended up finding was a chat prompt. Okay, let me stop right here. How many of you know what that means when I say prompt or chat prompt? How many of you, and just chime in right now, how many of you know what that means? I do. Okay, keep going. Yes. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. You never quite know the audience, right? Like with any kind of presentation, kind of. Okay, good. So it's basically you're saying to the chat, so to speak, saying, and actually these days you can actually interact with your voice, right? So that is a possibility. But in this case, it's a text block that you send, that you're writing. You might think of it as a much more sophisticated search term, right? But we're actually being able to have a conversation. Okay. Okay. So that really made a difference. And that helped us see that we didn't actually need to use some of these other products, because what they were doing, even though it was great, was not going to give us what we wanted. Okay. So let me stop there, and because I'm a teacher, I could talk forever about this stuff. Rick, what do you want to contribute here?
Well, we do have a couple people in the chat that don't know what prompting is. Do you want to
Sure.
kind
Yeah.
of
Actually, we're going to show you an example. How about that? Could we kind of hold that? Because we're actually going to show you an example of prompting here in a minute. I don't know, Rick. What do you think? You want to take a stab at it, or I mean, I don't mind doing it, but
I think just very trying to think of like a very simple way to say this, but prompting is basically telling the AI what you want it to do.
there you
I'm
go.
making it very simple right now because I know we'll give you examples later. But yeah, when you're looking at a prompt, you're creating like instructions for your LLM, or to kind of give you like what you want the results to be with your chat, like, or your AI or your LLM. So I hope that helps. It's very, very broad, and I don't want to take too much time with that, but essentially they're instructions that you give the AI, and then the AI will give you an output from those instructions you gave them.
One of the ways I would take Rick's, and by the way, Rick, you weren't sharing. Sorry, I was on the screen then, but that's okay. But one of the things about this prompt is that this prompt is what we will refer to often in this presentation as the context window. This context window is the amount of content that we can give to the LLM, right? So the more content we give it, the more we're basically saying, here's examples of how I want you to reply. Here's the role that you're playing. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. And so the more detail we can give a prompt, the more likely we're going to get out of the LLM, whichever one you're using, we're going to get a better answer out of that. Okay. So yeah, we started with technology because that was our area. We knew that what we were trying to do was build this. And I'll be honest with you, because what we end up building is available in Canvas, we definitely hit some barriers with the overall campus infrastructure. And I'm not throwing shade at anyone. I'm not, but this is just the reality of rolling out something new in the world. And for our campus, right, they've never, and this was told to me several times, they've never had anybody do what we are doing. So they weren't quite sure how to deal with us, which was okay. We can help, right? So we are excited, but also we got not sidetracked, we got a little detour in the way we had created it. This summer, we ended up bringing it back and doing our implementation in a new way. Not too much you have to know about that unless you want. So this is us. This is the creators of this product that you're going to see today. Okay. So Rick, you want to take over?
Sure. Well, really quick in the chat,
Sure. Yeah.
I went ahead and put in a prompt.
Okay.
Like, I used a prompt to ask what is prompting. So with
Very meta. Very
so
meta.
I went ahead and sent a link with that. So
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I'm like doing a million things. I did, yeah. I'm just like, oh, I'm having fun, like in the chat. Like,
You want to hang out in the
anyway,
chat?
so take a look at that. Yeah, so I think
You
one of
want to
the
take over or you want
oh, I can take over for, yeah, the equity and inclusion. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
to? Nice.
And yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries.
And I'm having too much fun here.
I know.
If you
There's
can see,
not such
there's
thing
my
as too much
what
fun.
is prompting with AI? Explain it to me like I'm a community college instructor and give relevant examples. So
Good. Yeah.
there we go. And so yeah, so basically like with equity and inclusion, like me and Rio, we talked a lot about like, the theme of like Flex Day and like what does our platform help with like equity and inclusion? And we talked about like, talking about like, marginalized communities and stuff like that. I mean, I grew up down the street from Fresno City College. It's like, well, I think I'm part of that, somewhat in that group. I grew up in the area. I didn't know what I was doing for college or for the future. Like Fresno City College created a great atmosphere for me. So like I'm a transfer student. I would transfer to UC Irvine with the major in cognitive sciences. And when you think about equity and inclusion, like I think a lot of what we're trying to accomplish here is like it's a different way, a different style to create language and create the language behind um, how different students interact, how different students talk. Like I was more introverted back then, so it was easier for me to, get a lot of information and disseminate that. And I think with AI, it helps, with different kinds of groups that may want to ask, AI in a different way in their own language, and AI is able to interpret that and kind of help and facilitate that and curate. So there's a lot of curation when you look at like how the AI helps or like LLMs help people with communication, language on both ends, both like not only do you, get kind of what the, different kinds of language, but it gives and gets. So there's kind of a nice little balance between those two. Um, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop there because I will start rambling. So is there any other questions with that? Like, I think
Okay, that's good, Rick.
there's so much that like LLMs are helping and curating and like supplementing in ways that like maybe instructors, don't have the time to do that, or that maybe you have a specific question. It's, it's ubiquitous, it's available, it's ready. And I think that's another part of that. But I'm gonna
Because
stop there.
yeah, so I would add to that is that, you know, the LLMs can be available when instructors are not. And it is very natural. And I know this is hard for us in education to hear, but it is very natural for students to want to go ask LLMs for answers because we are doing that same thing. Okay, so it is very natural for them. But the more we can help students have a certain comfort level around interacting with the LLMs, and in this case, to learn, because what we're doing, and you're going to see this in a minute, is we're basically trying to say, hey, I'm going to prompt you to actually not give them the answers, but help them learn a concept. Because yes, I mean, and it's often hard for us. One of the feedbacks you're going to see from a student is like, and this was interesting. Students actually said, in my feedback they gave me was it gave even our program that we wrote to have it not give tell it we told it not to give them the answers. Sometimes it would, and they didn't like it because they actually wanted to learn. Okay, I'm not saying that's every student. I'm just saying that this is often true. Okay.
And if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
go ahead,
just
follow up,
add
Rick.
one more thing to that, and I think this is one of the biggest reasons, why I was so glad that Rio reached out and we were able to connect on this is like, working or doing a lot of fun stuff in San Francisco and doing a lot of AI projects. You start to see how AI is changing the landscape, and I think that like for me, like being born in Fresno and seeing like just bridging that technology gap, right? Historically, a lot of disenfranchised people in Fresno have not been able to benefit, from different technological advances. And as like, even as far as like the internet, as far as like the availability, when you look at like smaller cities, around Fresno and like access to, the internet was, that's a big issue as well, right? So having that access and so, bridging that technology as AI becomes, more available, more ubiquitous and everything else, like being able to like get onto that curve. And, we're seeing that it's not going away anytime soon. And, it's more than just like a trend. It's something that people are using in their everyday. I mean, so many of my friends, so many different, from different backgrounds are using it. So I think it'd be good for, one of the biggest things for me is like wanting to have that bridge and to have more students and more, people in this community kind of have more exposure to it,
Yeah.
essentially.
Honestly, I think our students are often, if they have access, are often more are early adopters. And sometimes, no offense, faculty, we are sometimes a little late to the game. And because we don't know how to use it. I mean, the comment Karen made about, yeah, the problem is it's giving them the answers without helping them learn the concepts or gaining the skill or the critical thinking. So our product is intended to help. And will it solve this issue? No, but it is intended to help. So Rick, let's move on to funding because I really want to get to the use cases.
Sure,
So you want me to do this or you want to do this
sure.
one?
Whichever. Yeah, if you want to take over.
Okay. Oh, I don't care. Yeah, I'll take over. It's so unlike me to want to take over. Okay. All right. So funding. So as I said before, we got some funds out of the ZTC grant. Sally was gonna be here, but she couldn't make it. She's doing another presentation, right? So this was really helping us, look at the barriers that we've kind of actually talked about some of this already in terms of what we targeted for the app itself and of course the ZTC, right? So the ZTC is already such a huge step. For those of you who are already doing ZTC, congratulations. Thank you very much. Our students very much appreciate it. We know the numbers of retention and success increase as we decrease or completely remove textbook costs. And I know not everybody I get it, right? I get it. I'm just saying that for those of us doing this, it's definitely, there's a benefit to it. So this is the grant. So if you have any questions about the grant, please post those in here. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to actually the use cases. Okay, and again, you can look at the website that we provided you. And what we're going to do is actually talk about these use cases, but I just want to stop here. Is there any specific question that has been asked that we haven't answered yet?
Yeah, I think Karen mentioned like one of the biggest problems with teaching students to use LLMs. It always gives them the answer. I know that like Rio mentioned, I still hear you. We'll be able to like kind of show an example there, right? Of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how we help them guide not just giving the answer. Rio actually has some cool prompts that like stop the
We
algorithm
did. It
from
was
giving
it
the answer.
kind of. And here's
Kind
the
of.
yeah,
We're still
kind of.
working on
We're still working on.
that.
Well, not only that, here's the other reality is the models are changing. Like one of the things Rick did is he gave us the ability to use different versions of, and in this case, we've started with ChatGPT's, OpenAI's ChatGPT model. We have evolved from 3.5 initially. Now we're at 4.0, the latest. We're definitely seeing a progression of better experience from our product based on this. Okay. So let's actually show you. Is everybody seeing my Canvas screen? Yes. Okay, cool. So in this case, we have a sandbox set up. And what I have is I have 4 examples to show you today. We'll see we're right at 10 o'clock. So I want to spend time here showing you and then answering questions that you may have around this. Okay. So and they go in order of what we really learned. This is actually representing the evolution of what we have learned, because the thing that I've found is that I learned to write better prompts. And to me, that's part of what I was excited to do, was learn how to use our product to actually help me create the kind of interaction for the student I had to help them. Okay. So let me show you the first one. Okay. So by the way, this is just a Canvas assignment. Okay. This is integrated. I mean, there's a couple steps we have to do some setup, but in this case, it's an assignment, as you can see here, right? For those of you, matter of fact, I'm curious, most of you use assignments in Canvas, I assume, because this is either a discussion assignment, a quiz, right? Most of us use this, right? So in this case, this is an assignment. Like the first one is web versus internet. So this would be the idea of, you want to have your students, maybe you've done a lecture, right, on the different, what's now, and if you don't know, it's okay. But those of us teaching technology, this is a common concept we're trying to help our students understand. Like, what is the difference between the web and the internet? So this is both some content for the student, right? Just to tell them, okay, when you're ready, this is what you're going to do, right? And then this first prompt here is that Feynman method prompt that we started with in the beginning that really opened up our eyes to what we could do. So, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. I can give you this context, but let's discuss a topic or concept I'm curious about. Now, what happens here is this prompt is actually sent to the LLM in the back, what we call at the API level, at a level that the student doesn't see, but it's basically it's like the student sending the prompt to OpenAI, okay, or to ChatGPT. Okay, so they're basically saying, hey, we approach this with an open mind. We'll be curious, inquisitive, right? I want to keep in mind, I can also ask specific questions. This is completely changeable and customizable for your particular approach. Okay. And then once I gave it what we call now this is one context window. We're going to give it some other ones. So what you'll end up seeing here, by the way, am I going too fast? Am I going too fast? Is my pace? No, I'm going fine. You're fine. Okay, good. Okay. I know I get excited and I can just go way too fast. Okay. Okay. So coming back here. So the student is going to have an introduction, right? We've given it the topic. Then they're going to have a deep dive. Okay. And then we're going to have it ask, did I learn? Right. So first, again, this builds on the assumption that you've already done maybe a lecture covering this concept. All right. So let's go ahead. And now when I hit start chat assignment, it opens up a new window. You see that window. Okay. So now we're out of Canvas. Okay. Out of Canvas in the system that Rick has built using, for those of you that may want to know, React and Next.js. I'm sure Rick could talk days about this and be willing to do that, but it's not the purpose of what we're doing today. So this is part of what we had to kind of work around the campus's concerns about us building this, which, by the way, I really challenge them a little bit because we're all seeing integrations in Canvas. Third-party products are all over the place, right? So this is not new, but in this case, the student does have to enter their ID. Okay. So once they enter their ID, they get, hey, a disclaimer. We want them to know, right? That here's your, and we just confirm, hey, this is your user ID, right? Signing in as a different user, we're just giving them, hey, don't do that, right? So they have to agree to this one. And then we also want to just understand the terms of service, because one of the things that was a big priority for us when we were doing this was actually maintaining the PPI, the personal information of the student. So what happens here is when we're about to start the chat discussion, this chat interaction, we're not there yet. None of the students' personal information gets sent over to OpenAI ChatGPT. This is, again, sent at a lower level or just a different platform level so that it's not like you going over with your account and interacting. Now, you could talk about the benefits of that, but I won't go there right now. So they agree. And so now we're in, okay? This content is basically what got sent over, right? So if I go back to the tab here, this is what, so our program reads through the table that's set up here, and then that's what it uses to, something's in the way of my, oh, there it is. Okay. So then it uses that to set up, right, these chat bubbles, which you see at the bottom. So the student has to start with the first one. They can't jump to the last one. Okay. Each step, I'm gonna let Rick handle that. So now when the student clicks the introduction, this is the prompt that gets sent to OpenAI. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So now it's like, okay, here's now the assistant, right? Your exploration assistant, your chat GPT replying back. Great topic. Let's start with what you already know, right? Explain in your own words the difference, even if you're unsure. By the way, can you see that text okay? I'm going to get it a little larger so you can see that. Even if you're unsure, share your thoughts. Now, here's what I want you to know. We didn't write this. This was the result of the first context window being sent over to OpenAI and its reply based on setting up, again, what we're terming the Feynman method prompt. So give us your thoughts, right? So if I could say web is the software and internet is the hardware. Okay. Great. You're on a right track conceptually, right? And then gives me some more information, right? So what do you think the actual internet is beyond hardware? This is great. So it makes them, again, this is going to, and this is where, when we think about this, this is then a customized response to the student based on their current understanding of the question. Okay. Somebody else, like if I said, right, and this is where I would help the students understand what I will look for when I grade. I don't know, right? No problem. Again, very friendly, right? So the idea here is because that prompt is set up to be very friendly. That's the idea, right? No problem. Let's break it down step by step. This is how we learn. How many of you are grasping the idea of what I'm showing you right here? Yes, I got it. It's amazing. You know that made me happy. You know that made me happy. Okay.
Yeah, that made me
Yes.
happy too.
Made Rick happy too. Okay. So in this case, now what happens here is that now, and again, the student can, based on my rubric, right, based on my instruction to them about how I wanted to see them, I might say, as an example, okay, you need to have 5 interactions that you do. I mean, I don't know if I like that approach, but for now, it's kind of working. It's like, no, I want you to have authentic interaction with them. Okay. I'm sorry, with this first introduction prop, because the more you learn, right? Because then the next thing is we're going to take a deep dive. So what is the deep dive? Well, if you come back over here next, when the student now clicks, assuming they've done some interaction, maybe extended their knowledge, that's the hope. Next, we dive into how the protocol standards between the web and the internet, ask detailed questions to clarify any doubts of your understanding. So we're taking a deep dive now into protocols. So when I click this button, a new context window along with the one from before, along with the student's interaction, is now sent, just like when you're interacting with ChatGPT, right? So, but again, we're managing, I don't want to say managing, we're throwing that context window. Okay. Okay, so since so now comparing to, let's see, I didn't even look at what went by. So now I got to scroll up. Great. Okay, so the internet provides, so now it's giving me some more content, relies on protocol, TCP IP, web standards, boom, 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 comparing the two. Imagine now, start. So this is now, it's given them a little more context. Now try answering any of the questions, even if you're unsure. Actually, this was the questions they were asking, right? So the student spends a bit of a time here answering, boom, boom, boom. Now, one of the things you're going to see in the later progression is if the student tried to move on before they had completed whatever my prompt context window is, it'll actually stop them. And you'll see that in a little while. But for this very, very beginning one, we didn't do that. So now the student could theoretically move right on to did I learn, right? So and this is where the more context I was to give it around this, right, would be helpful. Because in this case, even if you're unsure, right, give it your best shot. I'll guide you through. So it's basically saying when the student did I learn? Yeah, you didn't really tell me, you didn't show me. And that's where myself as the instructor would go in and look at that interaction, the quality, and I don't want to say quality, but how authentic that interaction was, which by the way, one of the things we've done here is we've disabled the cut and paste, and we have that behind what we call a flag. So if you wanted to give them that, they could. Otherwise, they can't cut and paste information if you as the instructor with the assignment do that. So let's simulate at this place. The student has completed it. They understand my requirements. And then what they do is they submit the assignment. And what they will get is a little toast, right? They can now no longer interact with this because it has been submitted. They would close, right? And this is part of what my instruction would do. And these are things we'd like to build in. You're going to see some future items we'll go over. And so they could close. But here's, to me, for you instructors, the magi, right? So in that case, grade, you now get a copy in the grade book of that interaction that the student had. You can see what the exploration assistant said. And this is where students will have different interactions, again, based on what they're asking. Awesome. It's not going to grade it for you. Now, is there possibly a future, I don't know, to where we could, yeah, we know we could do that, but to me, that's what I would do. You know, this is something well beyond Play Lab. Thank you. It's what we feel. Okay, Rick and I are super excited about this, and I'm really trying not to oversell it because it's not perfect, but it is, to me, a way to help us in education think about how we leverage these large language models to help all students, and specifically our identified students, gain experience with AI. Anyway, we've already talked about that. What's the question? Is it possible to create an oral exam? What do you, could we use the audio feature that ChatGPT has? Yeah, we just haven't done that. I mean, honestly, you're looking at the SO developer, and I mean, this is a two-person team here. Okay. Would we
Yeah,
like to have
that is
more
something that I
people?
have worked on with like different that's a great idea for like features. We're
Yeah,
currently like
totally.
looking into stuff like that, but I built I built like prototypes for that. But great question.
Okay.
Even if you take the oral out, could you have could you make an exam where they're just chatting back and forth
Oh, you're going
on
to
the
see that
keyboard?
next. I already have this. Thank you for teeing up an example. Okay. Shall we move on or other questions, please? Again, this is more, I mean, we know what the product does. You now have a first level example of what the product is. The questions you ask are help inform us about, because here's what we've seen. We have a test group. We have a group of faculty. I said it before, right? I said who was our original test group. We want to expand this, but we have a limit for how many we can expand. But here's what I've noticed, and this is true for me when I'm using it in my classroom, I come up with more and more ways to use it. Because the thing is, it's completely flexible because I write the prompt. Barry Manilow is coming to my head. I write the prompt. Okay. Sorry. I was going to break out in song, but I think I'm not good at it. Okay. All right. Rick, how we doing? I know I took a longer one on that first one. Anything you'd want to say?
Well, we're almost at 15 after, so we have 30 minutes.
Okay, good. Good.
Rita, I
I
have
want
a
to
quick
go.
question.
Who's this? Yeah.
Mark Tretza.
Mark, what's up, Mark?
Not much. Just enjoying the presentation here.
Thank you.
If you could spend 30 seconds, that's all it would take for me, but just create a new assignment. Rick
Yeah, for
referenced
sure.
one of my questions about copying the HTML tables.
Ready?
Yes,
Ready?
thank you.
Oh, I love this question. Duplicate.
Yeah,
Now, we're not done, but it's step one. Okay. So I take an existing assignment. Now, if you're creating a new one and you haven't done it before, we'll walk you through, we'll give you the matter of fact, one of the things if you're in the text group was we'd put you in this sandbox that we're playing with today, but I duplicate the assignment. So now I have a copy of the assignment, and then what happens is all the HTML comes over, and then I would hit edit. And what happens here is when it does this, the one thing I need to modify in the lower HTML or the div here is I got it, and it actually even shows me here. Rick did a really nice job. Rick, you want to talk about this since this is your thing?
well, yeah, I did mention in the chat as well. So when you create a new chat assignment, right, you have to put in the correct course ID and assignment ID. If not, you'll see some validation errors that, hey, you need to change that. So when Rio duplicated this, usually what we do is we copy paste, we'll give you like a copy pasted sample of, the chat. And then, then you have to just go in and change the course ID and assignment ID. If not, you'll see that error that you saw right now. So that it helps. It helps the instructor make sure that they put in the right course and assignment ID.
Great question. So in this case, this is where if we really, and I'll just give you the shoot to the end, we really want to say campus, district, is this something you want to institutionalize because you feel you could use it? Then that would give us the ability to give some of this, to add functionality, to add UI here to make this even better than it is right now. Yeah, yeah, and you could change. And if you were using it for a different course, then you would do that. So by the way, if you want to know, this works off of your access token at your faculty level. This is the workaround we had to do because of what the campus didn't want us to do, or the district, not the campus, but the district did not want us to do. They had security issues. Again, third-party products are already doing what we wanted to do, but okay, I get it. We're just a two-person shop, but we proved anyway. Don't get me going. You didn't. I did. Okay. So now, Mark, does that answer your question?
Yeah, when Rick was talking about all you got to do is change the ID number, right?
Yep.
For those of us who aren't in his field, it's like, hello, you lost me at saute the onions or something.
Okay. Okay. So, so notice up in Canvas, when you're in your course, you have a course ID. But when you're in an assignment, what happens here is you actually have an ID that's can you see that? That's generated by the system as
Yes.
your assignment ID. And that's the only thing you need to update. Well, you'd also need to publish it, right? Because the other thing it's going to do is the assignment needs to be set up as a text entry. You can see that here, and you do need to publish it. And for somebody like me who uses modules when I'm testing it, because as a faculty, when you set these up, when you submit it as a test student. But does that, I mean, so yes, part of your training, if you chose to join us, would be just to walk you through those things, Mark. Okay. Other
Yes,
questions?
thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. Any other questions? Or you want me to move on? If you want me to move on to the next example, I will. How do we sign up for that training? Yeah, that's a question, right? Yeah. I love that it's built in Canvas. Should we move on to the exam thing and bypass the other two?
Do you want to leave it up to everyone? Because I
yeah.
know
Yeah, we'll leave it up to you. I mean, this
I
is
have another demo as well, but
yeah,
then,
yeah,
but at the
absolutely.
same time, like, we might want to leave it up to the group to see like if there's anything specific anyone wants to see, a specific
Yeah.
demo, like a different kind of, like my assignment is like a notes, reviewer assignment and stuff like that. Some people are talking about, it sounds like people are talking about like how to sign up, like,
Yeah, we'll go to that at the
so
end. Also,
we'll get to
a
that.
question about accessibility. We did do accessibility tests. That's something based on the fact that we're both in web development. Web accessibility is an important issue for us. So we have tested our product in those areas as well. So yeah. But, right, it's going to have to screen read to them. So, I mean, again, I'm not assuming not all students need that, but those students who would. There's a ton of information here. So true. Right. Will there be a link? Yeah, actually, this is recorded. So. Okay, so give me your feedback. What do you want us to do? You want me to move on? I have one that helps students. You want to see the exam feature? Okay. Anybody else want to see the exam feature? Yeah. Yeah. Rick, shall I move on?
Yeah, so before you show the exam feature,
For
if you want
sure.
to scroll down really quick.
Scroll. Yep.
And
Yep.
so, as you mentioned the exam feature, keep going down, I'm sorry. Oh, did it move? But yeah, so it's here, right there, right? So when you talked about exam feature, that's one feature that you can use of many different types of features. So if you see here, I'm still working on this module. I haven't published it yet, but each one of these are different kinds of features that you can do, right? Like we mentioned about the Feynman approach, and then we have different kinds of exploration kind of chats. Rio worked through some multi-pro problem solutions. One of the other instructors that was a test instructor brought up like a textbook tutor kind of thing as well, which is like at the bottom of this. There are many other ones that we're still trying to document, but since it's two-person team, I didn't get to finish this part. I wasn't even sure if we would get to it. But as you mentioned that testing feature, I wanted to at least like highlight that if you join the testing platform, you'll have a lot of these things as well, like examples and different kind. And if you come up with examples, which other instructors have, we're learning so much about how we can use this platform.
Yeah, matter of fact, in here is Nancy's example of how she used it in her AI and ethics, I think, course. So she, and again, this is content we can provide to you just to give you examples. But that's what the cool thing about having more and more people use this product. We're just seeing more and more examples of how they're implementing their particular vision of how they could use this, right? All right, so I'm going to skip over, but I am going to touch on the Tutor Me because the Tutor Me is really good. In this case, here's a specific skill my students in the database class need to learn. And what I've done here, and this is not, even though there's an assignment here, this is really just intended to help the students work through a problem. Okay. And again, here's the prompt. Don't provide me the SQL. The SQL is the code that they need to write to answer this problem, right? So we have somewhat successfully managed the context window so that the AI is just helping the student work through the problem, giving them suggestions. And again, if time allows, I would love to show you more examples. Yeah, so let's go to the assignment. Let's go to the exam. Okay, here's what I did. This now is the latest version of what I'm doing. Okay, and this is going to look a little different. First, I created, and by the way, this video is actually for my students who are actually going to be using this starting next week. I'm not nervous. I don't care what you say. I am not nervous about this. Okay, I'm a little nervous about this, but I'm excited as well. Here's what I did. For my students in their first week in my short-term class, we cover a bit of content in that first week. So what I did is I took the videos I recorded, I took the syllabus, I took the content for instruction I did, and I took all that content, and now they're going to have an interactive chat to answer questions based on the content that I'm giving it. Okay. And what they have to do, and I twisted this a little bit from your traditional, here's 10 questions you need to answer on an exam. And so what I did is instead of saying, they have to answer 10 questions correctly. So they could actually ask as many questions up to 10. And then when they get to 10, the assistant, which by the way, you will see this if you want to watch the video. I'll walk you through as much as I can today. But once they get to the 10 answered questions, then they're going to switch to ask 5 questions. And this is where, because I also have the syllabus or anything else that we went over this week, maybe there was something they wanted to know about. Okay. Now, I'm not saying this will answer all of those correctly. Okay. Now, one of the first, do you have the concept down for what I'm about to show you? You got it? So based on the content, quite a bit of content. You're not seeing the content on this one. This is something I'm not going to talk in detail about how I did this, because this is kind of the magi that we're working on right now. But in this case, right, the AI is going to keep track of their correct questions. Let's just see it. Okay, so now, again, you're not seeing what you saw in some of the other ones. It looks a little different. Come in here. Okay, they give it their ID. They agree. Again, as a faculty, then this gets is your test student. Okay, so now that same context is here. So let's answer questions. Okay, so, all right. So let's start with, what are the common due dates for assignments in this course? I love this, right? Again, it's part of my syllabus. I'm going to calm down. Okay, so how about if the student actually knew the truth, or I could give it a lie? Close, but not quite. I love this, right? Mondays are attendance posts, Mondays and Thursdays for lectures. So the AI actually wanted to be more specific than I gave it, which is fine, right? Now, did it give them, we'll see in a minute. What's the, the final project is a Bootstrap website, March, and when is it due? March 12th. Cool. Now, by the way, notice here, 1, it didn't give them a point for the one before. It was close, but not quite, but it also gave them the feedback, gave them the right answer. Because the idea here is often students are using quizzes to learn the content. We know this is true. We don't like it, but it's true, okay? What tool is required for all coding tasks? And what do you submit? Okay, wow, it actually asked them 2 questions here, which was fun. But, the tool required is GitHub Codespace. And what do you, now, by the way, I'm going to leave that spelled incorrectly. I'm going to say print, screen, and photo. Almost, not quite. Well, this is awesome, right? So again, feedback. Now, guess what happens? Because now the student really needed to get all the way through those 10 questions, but they're like, you know what? I'm going to go to the ask questions. What does it do? Oh, nice try. But remember, we're in the middle of completing the quiz. If you're not jumping up and down right now, I am inside. this took a lot of work to figure out how to actually get, it's kind of like AI LLMs are this wild horse that I'm trying to wrangle into acting the way I want it to with the students. Okay. But again, once we're done, right? Boom, boom, boom. So they're going to work through, they have to work through all those. And then they can start. And so I could say, I could be a student, right? Oh, why is the sky? They wouldn't do this, maybe. Blue. Great question. But remember, we're in the middle of a quiz. Okay. And so, by the way, notice what it actually repeated the question that they didn't answer. Okay. How much? 20%. Correct. What are the benefits? Getting help. I run a Discord server for my students. Correct. Okay. You're doing great. I love this encouragement. I freaking love this encouragement right here. Right. What are the two images? Print, screen, and photo. Actually, it's kind of, and now it actually is realizing I didn't answer this question completely on the other one. So it broke out just that one question. I know, right, Ben? I know. What's the primary development environment? GitHub. Oh, it's CodeSpace, actually. CodeSpace. That's right. Okay. Again, you get the idea, right? You want me to continue? But do you get, I love this, Chelsea. I love it. Love this. But I'm lost. Okay. How to begin this type of assignment and integrate into Canvas? This is what we're talking about. We are going to have a call to action at the end to show you how to join the test team. We're trying to get the campus to, again, better support what we're doing here. And part of what you can do is help us. If you see the benefit here, if you see how you could leverage this, you can help us by making more people aware of what we're doing and what we're trying to get out, because our grant was confined to the web developer program, but now we feel like we have something we can deliver to the larger campus, to the district. Again, I get way too excited about this stuff. Anyway, okay, so let's see how many, I'm almost at 10. What's the late penalty is 25%. Correct. You're on a roll. Answered 6 correctly. See, I'm on question 9, but I've answered 6 correctly. What is encouraging when you work? What is encouraged? Oh yeah, to learn. Right. So this was part of my welcome video that I did. Right. What are the office hours? Look at this. What are the office hours? So the student, and I tell them in my little video, go look at my office hours. Right. So office hours on Friday are 11 a.m. on Zoom. Correct. What are the two tasks for 0? GitHub username. That's correct, right? So I'm at 9, right? Well, 5%. So these right here, this review, and this is what I'm calling it. We know it is an exam. In a sense, it's an interactive exam. That's a better word for it, right? So these are 5% of their grade, and they're at the end of each week, okay? Congratulations, right? Now, ask questions. So now I'm going to change to ask questions because the AI knows I've finished. And I would say, who is the instructor? Great question. Where is the office? BE 113. These are all correct answers, by the way. Okay. Do I learn HTML? Absolutely, right? Why do I need to learn Bootstrap? Part of what we learn. To learn Bootstrap. And by the way, this is where it broke out of my content and leveraged the larger LLM to answer this question. Okay. And now I could say, how many questions did I ask? If they forgot. Answered 10. And you're asking, feel free to clarify. Oh, okay. In this case, it gave us an example of how many students did I ask? How many questions have I asked? Oh, that's good. That's nice. Oh, see, a total of 16. Normally it will break it out. But, this is where you tell students, this is where you help them. And this is where I'm going to follow up this assignment afterwards then into a discussion about their experiences of this. But at this point, they could go ahead and submit it. And this is where we'd like to build into the system a little message before they do that says, hey, you didn't complete all the requirements. These are some of the future things we want to do. Rick, I've been talking way too long. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just answering people's questions and stuff in the chat, so that works for me. Um,
We have some questions.
uh,
Anything we want to answer here?
yeah, I think, well, Wes McMichael mentioned about a different type of assignment, which it
Mhm.
sounds like um, it has to do with. I wonder if he can just get on. That'd be nice if we could put his audio on. But yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so something I was interested in doing is doing like, I like your term for it, Rio, interactive exam,
Yeah.
where it's an essay exam. So I teach philosophy. Something I would love to do is have a preloaded list of like essay questions that I would have the chat bot ask. And then the student would answer and it would ask follow-up questions until they had reached mastery. I would see the transcript, and I'm doing a form of contract grading now where students are graded on objective criteria. They do the work, and then I give them feedback on the content, but they're not graded on the content itself. They're graded
Yeah.
on the work that they do. And so they finish the exam where they've reached mastery in each of those. I can still look at the content, but they get credit for just doing it. Is that something that this would
Yeah,
do?
for sure. That's a good use case in my opinion. Would you agree, Rick?
Yeah, it's similar to like my note-taking application that I
I'm
was.
gonna, yeah, you could show that. Yeah.
But essentially, it's a very simple form of that. So let me just share my screen
Yeah.
and very simple. Like I actually went above and beyond trying to add
Oh yeah, I can show you. Oh, sorry, Mark, I
demos.
can show you the grade book after. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So basically, like what during my demo, I was going to talk about like how much do people know about dolphins, right? Very simplified version. And I was going to let people look at this and be like, hey, which ones are wrong, which ones are right? What are some things that are like standing out really horrible, right? And so what I end up doing is I take these notes, right? So this sounds like something, and again, this is a very simplified version of this. And then I have my notes reviewer. Let me refresh this. I think this is okay. So essentially, I have just one step. And sorry, I didn't have time to change this. It should just say review my notes. And in that step, here's your prompt, right? So this is like what you're asking ChatGPT. You're a note-taking assistant. I will copy paste my notes and you'll give comments on each section. Look closely at each line, right? And make sure the information is correct on the topic of dolphins, right? And then you can add whatever topic or whatever like, criteria that you have for writing, whatever else, right? In your review, add a major mistake section and explain. So that gives, a whole different section for that, right? And so if I click on here and don't show this again for now. And so basically I'll add in my ID. And so when I sign in, agree. And sorry, this is like big for presentation purposes, right? And so as you see, like everything that was here, right, is over here now. Like the content, I know some people are asking about like how does, from Canvas, if you see here, like here's the content from Canvas, here's the step bubbles, and then on the next page, you can see the same content, right? And so here's the steps, right? So, and here's the button. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on that. And so, yeah, please go ahead and share your notes. So this could be like, share your essay, share whatever, right? The copy paste feature is something that is disabled. So if any of the people want to talk about this, you can actually enable and disable copy paste. So for not every assignment, it's allowed. So just remember that. So if students want to just copy paste from ChatGPT, I don't know if you mentioned that, Rio. I've been in the chats.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Okay, good.
I did, but that's okay. It's good to mention more than once.
Yeah, so then here, so here's my notes on the Dolphins, right? And if anyone has time to read, and I know we have a little bit of time, but there's like I think two incorrect ones, maybe three, I don't know. We'll see. And so basically when I put this in, I go ahead and send this out. And as you can see, let me make this bigger. And it's yeah, it's doing a lot of review, right? So thank
And
you
you
for
can prompt that to say, be more concise.
Yeah, I could do that too. Yeah, definitely. Um, I ran out of time, so I just said, you know what, go have fun. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, essentially, thank you for sharing your notes. And so it goes through each like line and kind of gives you a comment on each one of those lines, right? So the first one I said dolphins are marine mammals that belong only to the delphinid I can't pronounce that right now, family, right? And so right here, it's like, okay, well, the statement is partially correct, right? But not entirely accurate. Dolphins are indeed marine mammals, right? But there's many different kinds of families, right? So they give you corrections here. It doesn't have to be factual. I made this one factual, but like if for philosophy, not that philosophy is not factual, but if there's, subjective, objective, subjective, different kinds of, forms, that, opinions and all those other things that would be a little bit different, right? So I put here like most species can swim up to 37 miles per hour. Most species. And well, it's generally correct for some species, right? Not all dolphins can reach that speed, right? So you can kind of prompt it to be more specific. You can prompt, to give it, to give it some leeway, right? To give it some more like subjectivity, things like that. Like I was trying to go more on specificity here, just to kind of like get as close as I can to the accuracy of like what they're saying here, right? So dolphins possess a highly developed neocortex, right, allowing them to solve complex cognitive problems. So this one is accurate. They're known for their cognitive abilities, and yeah, they even mentioned no correction needed. So that's kind of nice. And again, most dolphins live between 10 and 15 years. That's not entirely accurate. So
Maybe
again, yeah, I mentioned
we need to wrap up, Rick.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was literally about to say I'm done.
I know
Yeah,
you
sorry
were.
about that, but
It's okay. It's
thanks for the
okay.
question. I appreciate it.
Okay. So as we wrap up, questions are great here. If you want to know just a little more, Rick, I mean, I don't care. We can, whoever wants to share here. I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so in this case, below the use cases, the video that I shared with you, there's also some of the student feedback we got this semester. Personally, that we call them we abbreviate, so we don't have to say AI canvas.chat, right? It was like a mouthful. So we abbreviate ACCs help me a lot when it comes to breaking down tougher assignments. We're nice to be able to cover what we learned through, in this case, my database class, help me retain the information. I mean, there's a lot of content here you can see. And this is only, now, was it all positive? No. Right. And again, some students definitely said, right, the only complaint was sometimes when you ask, it would actually give you the answer and they didn't like it because they wanted to actually learn. Okay, so at the bottom of this, I'm going to go down here a little further. We do have, you want to talk about assessments or let's go right to this. And if we have, we can come back to that. Here's
Sure.
some of our future things we want to do. There's definitely some like, what if, let's save, right? Let's do a save, even if they don't complete it. And maybe, but this requires us to build an infrastructure that would take time that we don't have right now. Again, helping us make this a better product, integrating more AI models. So let's say instead of moving on from OpenAI, because there are many more coming out, and cheaper right now, we do have a cost associated with this. And so there's more things we could do. There's more things we want to do, right? So at the very bottom is join the testing program. So become a test teacher. Sorry, what did I say? Instructor tester. So you can just, and you can say, I want to be a tester. I just want to know more, right? You don't have to absolutely sign up for being a tester, but if you just want to know more and maybe, oh, wow, looks like somebody forgot to QA this. Me. Okay.
The link should work. I
Okay, good.
created it,
Oh,
but
good. Okay, good. Right
sorry.
here. Yeah, nice. Okay. Okay. So,
It works, right?
did everybody get a link to the website that we were presenting from today? And if not, we can give that this in the chat. But as we wrap up, I want to give Rick a chance to talk about assessments. Rick?
Oh, right. Sorry, I was gonna share the link. But yeah, I was gonna mention the chat if we didn't have time. If you're interested in an assessment, I took the liberty of killing myself last. No, I'm kidding. I worked really hard adding
Really
extra
hard.
because I'm an overachiever. But I started implementing some pre and post tests to look at like how the AI platform is helping students, right? So the pre-test giving some comprehension-based questions, then introducing the AI chat, and then the post-test, introducing those questions again to see how the students have changed. If they changed, we also added some qualitative things as well, as far as like what is their thoughts on AI? Have their thoughts changed between the beginning of the course versus the end of the course? These are things that I loved, in university. I wanted to be a research professor, so this was kind of fun to add that extra element. Um, if you're interested, let me know. If you're curious, like that's one of the things that I would like to further like build as teachers are using this to kind of have some assessment to use and to like share as we go along.
Okay, now it's your turn. Questions you want to ask us before we head out? Otherwise, this is what we were going to talk about today. Oh yeah, we want your evaluation, right? Susie, where do they get the evaluation of the session? Thank you. You're welcome, Ben. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
The
Always.
evaluations are done online, and you'll get an email at the end of the day
Perfect.
telling you where to find those, both your session evaluations and the general overall evaluation.
5 stars or 10 stars?
There is a star rating, yes,
What's the scale?
1 to 5.
Okay, I hope 5 stars, but we'll take whatever you give us. What does being a tester? We don't know. We're trying to figure this out. We've had a test group that goes through, Mark. We're just trying to get more people interested in seeing the product and on working with you on how you would approach. What would you need? Would it give you what you need? Give you access to the sandbox, let you play with it. If you want to use it in your own course, then we could help you do that.
Yeah,
There's no
try it
commitment there.
once in your course, maybe
Right.
that's enough. You don't need to like I used it a lot in my course, but if
Yeah.
you're just kind
Because
of curious and
yeah, because most of you all have your content mostly depending on, how much of a prepper you are. You may have a lot of your content done. You just want to play. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Cami, thank you. Interpreters, thank you. Without you, we couldn't do this. So thank you all very much. We're going to have to get to the second session in a minute, but I want to hang here as long as we can. Oh, thanks. Excellent work. Thank you. We are very excited. We are very excited for this product. Please help us get the word out. Tell your friends. Thank you.